Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm planning for August in my B5 notebook from Archer and Olive. In August I'll be outdoors a lot, camping, hiking and at festivals, so I was keen to create that feeling in my journal too. So I thought I'd draw up a cover page that makes me feel like I'm outdoors. I made a little tent out of craft paper to start with. To do this, you draw a triangle on some craft paper and then cut it out. Then at the bottom of the triangle in the middle, you cut a line halfway up. From this line you can fold the edges up, so it ends up looking like a tent with open doors. I used my grid spacing ruler to find the middle of the page, and I then stuck the open part of the tent, the middle of the tent, at the midpoint of the page. I used an orange acrylograph pen to colour in the tent doors and the inside, and I thought I would stick down the doors as well because they might get a bit annoying just flapping around. All supplies will be linked in the description, and for anything you buy from Archer and Olive you can get 10% off by using my affiliate code Raksha10. I then drew some trees around it and some branches to create a camping in nature kind of feeling. I kept the trees really simple and just drew an outline in pencil in the shape of a cone, and then used a green acrylograph pen to scribble downwards, staying within the shape of the cone. After that, I added some brown branches around the trees. I drew a bunting to go across the tent between the trees, which added a nice pop of colour and a festival vibe. And I wrote up August up above in brown. I added to the trees with a metallic green acrylograph pen. I thought it would be nice to complete the scene with some stars, so I did this with just a black fine liner, but then afterwards I thought it would be a lot nicer in a metallic gold, since stars are always shining brightly. It was 5 in the morning, so I was a bit indecisive. I then coloured in the ground below in a dark grey. And the indecisiveness kicked in again because I started off with some blocks on the floor, like piles of mud, and then I turned it into just a big block. I wanted to write up a quote to capture the feeling of freedom, so I went for a simple "Be wild and free." After writing it up, it didn't feel quite right to me, so I left it as it was and went to wake up the rest of the family, and then came back to it the next day and decided to change my mind. So when I came back to it the next day, I decided I wanted to cut a circle out of some craft paper and write it up on there instead. I crumpled up the craft paper to create a rugged, outdoorsy look and feel. I added some small triangle arrows to the top and sides of the circle to make it look like a compass, with north, east, south and west going around the circle. On the crumpled craft paper, I wrote up the quote "Be wild and free" in grey, green and brown, so sticking to the earthy tones. I actually have this quote on one of my camping mugs. It's one that I really love because I feel like it can apply to so many situations, and the words just really resonate with me so much in every way. It could mean be wild and free in the great outdoors, climbing mountains, travelling the world, or be wild and free in your life, maybe taking an unconventional path. Or it could even apply to creating freedom in your mind, creating mental space by quietening your mind and breathing, perhaps through mindful moments or activities. So what's the verdict? Do you like the first version on the white page or the second version on the crumpled craft paper? Let me know in the comments. Next, I have the monthly log for August, where I'll put in all of my events, goals and tasks for the month. I measured out space for 31 boxes for a calendar layout across the page. The calendar will feel nice and big on this B5 compared to the A5 journal that I'm used to, so I'm sure I'll enjoy the extra space this month. Each mini box is 6 spaces wide and 7 spaces tall. I added another mini craft paper tent in the corner. This was a practice one I did earlier and I thought I might as well make use of it. I added a quote to the bottom of the page that says "The adventure begins," with the A stretching across to turn into mountains above the quote. On the left, I used the space to list out goals and tasks. A piece of craft paper went in the corner with an arrow pointing you to more adventures. To get mentally ready for August, I filled out some key dates in the calendar to see what's coming up. And I used my future log, which I set up in my previous video, so feel free to check that out if you want to see the setup for this journal. Things like a festival that we're going to, and a trip we're taking on a canal boat for a week, and a couple of other events to put in so far. I also highlight days that I plan to publish videos, blog posts and my newsletter, so I can see those within the wider context of the rest of my life and can prepare. I'll write in the video titles that I plan to publish once my plans are finalised over the next week and my blog posts. I put in my top 3 goals for the month. Since it's the summer holidays, I'm not going to have any tough, rigid goals, but I'm just going to jot down a few of the things I definitely want to do, like finalise some new products I'm working on, finish decorating the kids' bedroom, and finish reading Kristin Neff's new book, Fierce Self-Compassion. I also wrote down some tasks that I know I have for August so far. Next up, I have my simple things list, my monthly ritual of writing down the simple pleasures I can enjoy in August. This isn't meant to be a rigid to-do list, this is just a could-do list inspired by a magazine I read called The Simple Things. I used my Simple Things stencil to set up the spread. In the bottom corner, I drew up some signs, like the wooden signs you often see when you're on a hike, telling you have 10 kilometers left to get to the summit. I thought it would help create the outdoorsy feeling, and I can put words in that make me feel happy, free and adventurous. I decided to have the signs pointing to hiking, nature and mountains. Adding a pop of colour with the bunting across the top with the metallic acrylographs. On my list I have wake up early to savour the quiet moments, read a book in a hammock, enjoy lots of cooking outside, enjoy being barefoot on the grass, sleep under the stars in the garden. Next up I have a summer bucket list. I decided to draw a camper van. There's nothing that feels more free and adventurous than the sight of a camper van. I have some mountains in the background behind the van. I decided to keep it simple and not colour it in. If inspiration strikes, I might colour it in later, but at the moment there weren't any colours that I really wanted to use for it. Let me know what you think. Would you colour it in or leave it simple and minimal? I jotted down some things I could think of that we can all enjoy over the summer at home. We're kicking off August with the festival, which is a lovely, creative, outdoorsy weekend with live music, a range of food and wellness activities like Tai Chi, meditation and forest school for the kids. For the rest of August, I've put down explore some new hiking trails, ideas for days out, activities and all sorts of other fun things. It's helpful to just sit down and think of things we can do so we can be a bit more intentional about how we spend our time over the summer. It also just gets you in the mood for summer and ready for lots of fun. Next, I have a packing list for the festival weekend. I based it on a packing list I did in a previous journal for a week-long camping trip that we did in France. This has been really useful to refer to for all camping trips, but I want to update it because baby Ray was only 5 months old when we were in France and we don't need a lot of the baby stuff that's on there anymore. I used my grid spacing ruler to divide the page into 3 rows and 2 columns so I can have 6 sections per page. I drew up some wooden signs to be the headers for my sections. I thought it would be best to keep the page quite simple so I have lots of space for my actual lists. Otherwise, I can just end up getting carried away with doodles and having no space left for actually writing my lists. I've definitely done that before. I wrote up the categories for my packing list. I have outfits, accessories, toiletries, technology, medicine, kitchen stuff, camping stuff, entertainment, a list for Rahul, my son, and Ray, my daughter, food, and miscellaneous. This is going to be useful for any weekend camping trip that we do, or even for a normal weekend away, because I can just ignore the camping sections and refer to the rest. I don't know if this is just because I'm a parent of young kids, but I feel like there's always so much to think about before a trip, and preparing for one can just use up so much of my decision-making capacity. Decision fatigue is actually a thing. It's when you feel too tired to make a decision sometimes, after a whole day of decision-making or making choices. John Tierney says that you can't make decision after decision without paying a biological price. So sometimes after a long day of making various choices and decisions, you might wonder why it's so hard to choose what to eat for dinner, or why you sometimes make poor choices or pick things that you don't want. This is all because of decision fatigue. So to help yourself out, you can reduce the number of daily decisions you have to make by automating what you can, or maybe cutting out trivial ones. Like some people even go as far as only having a few outfits to choose from in their wardrobe, so they don't waste their decision-making energy every day on picking something to wear. You can always make decisions in advance as well, especially for repeatable events or choices that you can make. So a packing list for something you do often is really worthwhile. You just need to make sure you actually look at the list. The last time we went away, I didn't do a final check of the list and realised after we drove 3 hours to the Midlands that I'd packed hiking boots for the kids and no socks. I find it's useful to be as specific as possible as well. Like if you couldn't even write which outfits you're going to pack and specific toiletries or chargers, you can just trust your list and not have to think too hard at all at the time and not miss anything either. So these are some of my spreads for August. I may add some more as and when I need them, and I'll share those over on Instagram if you want to follow me over there. I also send out a weekly newsletter which you can sign up to over on my blog, where I share weekly insights on creativity, journaling and mindfulness, and some of the things I've been enjoying that week. So check that out if you're interested. Hope you enjoyed this setup, and let me know in the comments if you have any plans for the summer that you're looking forward to, whatever they may be. Lounging around in the sun, reading, going for walks, I want to hear all about it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.